ओम अज्ञानं तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वरूपं तदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सायं रघुनाथवितं तं सजीवं साधवेति सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सायं ललिता शिवशाखावतं च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगद्गुरुदेव गोपेश गोपेकान्त नमस्ते तप्तकञ्चन गौरङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी विश्वनुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादिपासदे सुतारिणे वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुवे प्रजापतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीपति गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। So we are continuing with the chapter 7. Yoga is re-establishing relations with Krishna. We have heard many times of the yoga system. The yoga system is approved by Bhagavad Gita, but the yoga system in Bhagavad Gita is specially meant for purification. The aim is threefold: to control the senses, to purify activities, and to link oneself to Krishna in a reciprocal relationship. The absolute truth is realized in three stages: impersonal, impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, Super Soul, and ultimately Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the final analysis, the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. Simultaneously, he is the all-pervading Super Soul within the heart of all living entities and within the core of all atoms. And he is Brahma Jyoti, or the effulgence of spiritual light as well. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is full of all opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but at the same time, he is full of renunciation. In the material world, we find that one who has much opulence is not very much inclined to give it up, but Krishna is not like this. He can renounce everything and remain complete in himself. When we read or study Bhagavad Gita under a bona fide spiritual master, we should not think that a spiritual master presenting his own opinions. It's not it's not he who is speaking. He is just an instrument. The real speaker is the Supreme Personality Godhead who is both within and without. At the beginning of this his discourse on the yoga system in the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Anasaritah karma phalam karyam karma karoti yah sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragmirna chakriyah. One who is attached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. Everyone is working and expecting some result. One may ask, what is the purpose of working if no result is expected? Our remuneration or salary is always demanded by the worker. But here Krishna indicates that one can work out of sense of duty alone, not expecting the results of the activities. If one works in this way, then he actually sannyasi. He is a renounced he is in the renounced order of life. According to the Vedic culture, there are four stages of life: Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. Brahmachari is student life devoted to training in spiritual understanding. Grahastha life is married householder life. Then, upon reaching the approximate of age 51, may take the Vanaprastha order. That is, he leaves his home and children and travels with his wife to holy place of pilgrimage. Finally, he gives up both wife and children and remains alone to cultivate Krishna consciousness, and the stage is called a sannyas or the renounced order of life. Yet Krishna indicates that for a sannyasi, renunciation is not all. In addition, there must be some duty. What then is the duty for a sannyasi? For one who has renounced family life and no longer has material obligation, his duty is the most responsible one. It is to work for Krishna. Moreover, this is the real duty of everyone in all stages of life. In everyone's life, there are two duties. One is to serve the illusion, and the other is to serve the reality. When one serves the reality, he is a real sannyasi, and when one serves the illusion, he is deluded by Maya. One has to understand, however, that he is in all circumstances forced to serve. Either he serves the illusion or the reality. The constitutional position of the living entity is to be servant, not a master. One may think that he is a master, but he is actually a servant. When one has a family, he may think that he is the master of his wife, his children, his business and so on. But that is all false. One is actually the servant of his wife or his children and his business. The president may be considered the master of the country, but actually he is the servant of the country. Our position is always a servant, either a servant of the illusion or servant of the God. If, however, we remain the servant of the illusion, then our life is wasted. Of course, everyone is thinking that he is not a servant, that he is not working only for himself. Although the fruits of his labor are transient and illusory, they force him to become a servant of illusion or a servant of his own senses. But when one awakens to his transcendental senses and actually becomes situated in knowledge, he then becomes a servant of the reality. When one comes to the platform of knowledge, he understands that in all circumstances he is servant. Since it is not possible for him to be master, he is much better situated serving the reality instead of the illusion. When one becomes aware of this, he attains the platform of real knowledge. By sannyasa, the renounced order of life, we refer to one who has come to this platform. Sannyas is a question of realization, not social status. It is duty of everyone to become Krishna conscious and to serve the cause of Krishna. When one actually realizes that he becomes a Mahatma or a great soul. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that after many births, when one comes to the platform of real knowledge, he surrenders unto me. Why is this Vasudevaha Sarvam Iti? The wise man realizes that Vasudeva Krishna is everything. However, Krishna says that such a great soul is rarely found. Why is this? If an intelligent person comes to understand that the ultimate goal of life is surrender to Krishna, why should he hesitate? Why not surrender immediately? What is the point in waiting for so many births? When one comes to that point of surrender, he comes to real sannyasi. Krishna never forces anyone to surrender into him. Surrender is a result of love, transcendental love. Where there is force and where there is no freedom, there can be no love. When a mother loves a child, she is not forced to do so, nor she do so out of expectation of some salary or for remuneration. Similarly, we can love the Supreme Lord in so many ways. We can love Him as a master, as a friend, as a child, or as a husband. There are five basic rasas or relationship in which we are eternally related to God. When we are actually in the liberated stages of knowledge, when we can understand that our relationship with the Lord in a particular rasa. That platform is called Swarupa Siddhi or self-realization. Everyone has an everyone has an eternal relationship with the Lord, either as master and servant, friend, parent and child, husband and wife, or lover and beloved. These relationships are eternally present. The whole process of spiritualization and actual perfection of yoga is to revive our consciousness of this relationship. At present, at present, our relationship with the Supreme Lord is pervertly reflected in this material world. The relationship between master and servant is based on money or force or exploitation. There is no question of service out of love. The relationship between master and servant pervertly reflected continues or only for so long as the master can pay the servant. As soon as the payment stops, the relationship also stops. Similarly, in the material world, there may be relationship between friends, but as soon as there is a slight disagreement, the friendship breaks and the friends becomes an enemy. Where there is a difference of opinion between son and parent, the son leaves home and relationship is severed. The same with husband and wife, a slight difference of opinion and there is a divorce. No relationship in this material world is actual or eternal. We must always remember that these ephemeral relationships are simply perverted reflections of that eternal relationship we have with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have experienced that the reflection of an object in a glass is not real. It may appear real, but when we go to touch it, we find that there is only glass. We must come to understand that these relationships as friend, parent, child, master, servant, husband, wife, or lover are simply reflections of that relationship we have with the God. When we have come to this platform of understanding, then we are perfect in knowledge. When that knowledge comes, we begin to understand that we are servants of Krishna and we have an eternal love relationship with Krishna. In this love relationship, there is no question of remuneration, but of course, remuneration is there and it is much greater than whatever we earn here through rendering the service. There is no limit to Shri Krishna's remuneration. In this connection, there is story of Bali Maharaj, a very powerful king who conquered number of planets. The denizens of the heavenly planets appealed to the Supreme Lord to save them, for they had been conquered by the demonic king Bali Maharaj. Upon hearing this plea, Shri Krishna took the shape of dwarf Brahmana boy and approached Bali Maharaj, saying, "My dear king, I would like something from you. You are a great monarch and are renowned for giving in charity to the Brahmanas. So would you give me something?" Bali Maharaj said, "I will give you what you want. I simply want whatever land I can cover in 3 steps." The boy said, "Oh, is that all?" The king replied, "And what will you do with such small piece of land?" Thought, "Though it may be small, it will suffice me." My boy smiled. Bali Maharaj agreed, and the boy dwarf took 2 steps and covered the entire universe. He then asked Bali Maharaj where he was going to take his third step, and Bali Maharaj understood the Supreme Lord was showing him his favor. Replied, "My dear Lord, I have now lost everything. I have no other property, but I do have my head. Would you so kindly step there?" Lord Krishna was then very pleased with Bali Maharaj, and he asked, "Why? What would you like from me?" "I never expected anything from you," Bali Maharaj said, "but I understand that you wanted something from me, and now I have offered you everything." "Yes," the Lord said, "but from my side I have something for you. I shall remain always as an order carrier servant in your court." In this way, Lord become Bali Maharaj's doorman, and that was his return. If we offer something to the Lord, it is returned millions of times. But we should not expect this. The Lord is always eager to return the service of his servant. Whoever thinks that the service of the Lord is actually his duty is perfect in knowledge and has attained the perfection of yoga. So yes, chapter 7 is finished, and we are continuing with the chapter 8. That is the last chapter, the perfection of yoga. It is a fact, therefore, that in the progress of living entity toward the perfection of yoga, birth in a family of yogis or devotees is a great boon. For such a birth gives one special impetus. प्रयातनाद यात्मनास्तु योगी समस्तुदा किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म समस्यांसिधा ततो यति param gatyam. But when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately, after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. Bhagavad Gita 6.45. When one is finally freed from all contamination, he attains the supreme perfection of yoga system. Krishna consciousness. Absorption. Absorption में Krishna conscious. Krishna is a perfect stage. Krishna himself confirmed. Bahunam janmanam ante ज्ञानवान मम प्रपादयते वासुदेवः सर्वमिति सा महात्मा सुदुर्लभः. After many births and death, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and already such a great soul is very rare. Bahu nam janman ante jnanavan mam prapadete vasudeva sarvamiti sahamatma sudhullabha. Thus, offer many lifetimes of exhibition in pious activities when one free from all contamination rising from illusory dualities. He engages in the transcendental service of the Lord. Sri Krishna concludes his disclosures on this subject in this way. Yogi nam api sarvesham mad gate natra natmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam sa me yukta matah. And of all yogis who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and the highest of all. It therefore follows that the culmination of all yogas lies in bhakti yoga, the rendering of devotional service unto Krishna. Actually, of all the yogas delineated in Bhagavad Gita, end of this note for Krishna is the ultimate destination of all the yoga system. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti goes a long way to self-realization. Karma Yoga with fruitive result is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases his knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called Jnana Yoga and the Yoga of knowledge. When Jnana Yoga in meditation of the super soul by different physical processes and mind is on him. It is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when surpasses Ashtanga Yoga becomes to worship the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, that is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Actually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand other processes. The yogi who is possessive is therefore one is there on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by the particular name. Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Dhyana Yogi, Raj Yogi, Hati Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yoga systems. Krishna consciousness is the last link in the yogic chain, the link that binds us to Supreme Person, Lord Shri Krishna. Without his final link, the chain is practically useless. Those who are truly interested in the perfection of yoga process should immediately take to Krishna consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna, understand the Bhagavad Gita, and rendering service to Krishna through this society for Krishna consciousness, and thereby surpass all other central systems and attain the ultimate goal of the yoga, love of Krishna. So the book has been finished. Thank you everyone for joining. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai